comparing tilapia with catfish, catfish are more stronger than tilapia.
Okay.
But then they are all fishes that thrive in whatever environment that you expose them to. How the system is set up is we introduce a sand base mixed up with smaller rocks at the bottom of the pond before we introduce our fishes.
Let me take you back a bit. So like this pond we are standing by now, you are saying that you have sand filled at the bottom.
Yes, sand filled at the bottom, sand and rocks.
Sand and rocks.
Filled at the bottom.
Okay.
And then we introduce our bacteria, the beneficiary bacteria, that is the probiotics.
Okay.
We introduce the bacteria in this pond, and then they help break down the waste. So you don't change your water. All you need to do is to come and feed your fishes and let the bacteria break the waste which would have contaminated the water into food.
It's been a year and over since we visited Jakdam Farm Life, and then we talked so much about catfish, maintenance, and even the RAS system. Today I'm back again to visit Joshua to see what's new here. Joshua, what's new here on your farm?
Thank you for visiting once again. So we've made quite a progress here, some progress here.
Okay.
As in regards to the setup, the species of fishes we were culturing before.
Okay.
I think before we were doing only catfish.
Okay.
But now we are doing both tilapia and then catfish.
Oh.
And we've made progress as in trying to develop and then create a more sustainable way of culturing fish. So you can come around, let me show you the progress we've made so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to take a tour.
Yes.
So join me. Let's check out Jakdam Farm Life. Okay, so I see some fingerlings around.
Yes.
So which section of your facility is this?
Okay, so this is the hatchery wing of our facility. One of the most important, the wing that we focus on. We always try to get a good result out of our hatchery because it's the backbone of our operations here at Jakdam Farms. Okay. We do both the hatching and then the grow out production. That is culturing the fish from the fingerling stage after the production of the fingerlings in our hatchery to matured sizes, that is the grill and then the smoking size fishes. Okay. So the backbone of our operation is the hatchery. So we ensure proper biosecurity measures and as well as proper operation conditions here in order to get quality fingerlings to our customers and to our grow out farm.
So how old are these fingerlings?
Okay, so these are 1 month, 2 weeks old fishes.
So how long do you keep them in here before you move them to the nursery?
Okay, so after hatching, that is after spreading the eggs and then the eggs hatching into the the fries, we keep them here for about 3 weeks and then move them to the nursery pond. And after the nursery pond, we move them here when we are ready to sell them.
Okay, so are these ready for sale?
These are ready for sale.
Okay, yes. Okay.
So these are some of the sizes that we have here.
Okay. So once it's 1 month, 2 weeks, they are ready for sale, and then these go into the grow outs.
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Interesting.
You can see how healthy these fishes are. They
do look healthy.
Yeah.
They do. All right. You mentioned you do tilapia too. Do you do the hatchery also? Do you have the hatchery also here?
No, we don't breed here.
Okay.
We don't breed tilapia here.
Okay.
We breed at our hatchery and then we transport them to this farm when they are about 3 to 1 month old.
Okay. So I see we have a number of tanks here. How many fingerlings do you keep per tank?
Okay, so in the breeding process, this can have about 1 million fishes in this. It doesn't matter. Wow. But then after hatching, we divide them into different tanks. Okay. So I can hatch in 1 tank or 2 tanks and then separate them into the various tanks that I have here. So 1 tank can hold about, mostly I stick to 100,000 fishes per tank. Okay. And then from the 1 week interval, I split them into my various tanks, and when they are about 3 weeks again, I move them into the nursery tanks where I have bigger space or wider space to keep them.
Okay, so in this case we have fingerlings that are 1 month, 2 weeks old. So yes. For what I'm seeing now, how many fingerlings do you have per tank?
So this tank is currently holding an order from one farm. So what I do is, if I move them to the nursery tank, unless someone orders for fingerling, I need to count and then condition them well before the person picks up. So in this particular tank, I have 5,000 pieces here.
What I'm seeing is 5,000.
Yes, 5,000 pieces. And in this tank, I have 5,000 pieces. The client is coming for them today. So I just need to condition them, treat them before they are being shipped to the client's destination.
Okay. Now, this is interesting. You have 5,000 fingerlings in these two small tanks that I'm seeing now. When it's being moved into the grow-out tank, how many do you keep in each grow-out tank, and what size of tank ideally? Okay,
so let me use a 10 by 10 feet pond as an example. With every 10 by 10 feet pond, we can keep approximately 800 fishes in one tank. Yes.
Out of the 5,000, so 800 in each.
Yes, so 10 by 10 feet tank, we keep 800 fishes from the fingerling stage to the grow-out stage. Sorry, the maturity stage, that is the 1 kilo size or any size that you want to grow them into. Yes.
Okay. All right. I've had an interesting time at this hatchery. They look really nice and healthy. I'd like to see the nursery.
Okay, sure. Let me take you right there.
Joshua, I see you've moved your nursery to the Earthen pond. Last year when we were here, you transferred your fries into the tarpaulin pond inside. What's the reason for the change?
So over time we realized that the fries do very well in the Earthen pond because the Earthen pond provide them with an environment closer to their natural habitat. You know, when you bring the fishes to the Earthen pond, they get these small phytoplanktons, worms and other things to feed on, and this is very healthy for the fishes. So comparing the survival rate in the tarpaulin pond and then the survival rate in the Earthen pond, I believe the Earthen pond is far more impressive. So we just stick to the Earthen pond. One, it saves us cost of changing water every day as compared to the tarpaulin. And then as well, labor-wise, you don't need to hire anybody or you don't need to come yourself to drain your water out from the Earthen pond. But unlike the tarpaulin pond, you would have to work. You'd have to be doing a lot of activities to keep the fishes healthy. But with the Earthen pond, they are fine.
How do you keep the fingerlings away from prey? Because I'm sure birds would be, once they are exposed like this, how do you protect them?
Yes, so when they are about the 3 weeks old, when we transport them, we transfer them here. We have a cover net, we cover the entire pond. But this particular batch is sold out to a farm, just as I said earlier. The farm is about to pick all these fishes out. So just yesterday we did some sorting exercise here that we have to keep the bigger ones in one net and then the smaller ones in another net. So this is why we have nothing covering the surface of the pond.
So they are protected in a way, like you say, you cover them with a net and then the birds they are no longer prey for the birds.
Yes.
Okay, so how many do you keep? I see you've kind of divided them use the net to divide them. So how many in each section? Okay,
so it depends on the number that I hatch. So if I hatch 100,000 fishes, I am most likely to keep about 30,000 here for 1 week or 2 weeks, and then I also move them either into the pond directly or to another tank. So I keep dividing them, probably 30,000 here, 30,000 here, 30,000 here, and then when they are about 2 weeks old here, I would have to do another form of sorting and then division. Yes.
All right. So from what I gather, not only do you transfer them into your grow-out tank, you also do a lot of selling of the fingerlings.
Yes. These days we do a lot of, we sell a lot of our fingerlings. If we hatch, we are most likely to sell about 80% or 90% of our hatched fries. Yes.
Business is booming.
Yes.
So it means that these are bigger than what I saw at the hatchery, right?
Yes. These are much bigger than the ones you saw in the hatchery. You can probably try feeding them and then see the sizes for yourself.
Try. Is this okay?
Yeah, this is okay.
Okay. Oh wow, they are way bigger.
Way bigger.
Yeah. Okay. And someone has bought all of these?
Yes. He
Wow.
specifically ordered for a jumbo size. The one you saw earlier are juvenile fishes.
Okay.
So these are jumbo size fishes.
Okay.
They are much older than the juvenile and then the fingerling.
Okay. All right. Now, so at the end of the day, from what I understand from what you're explaining, this is more sustainable for the catfishes, the fingerlings.
Yes.
They grow better, they are healthier, and then for us, the final consumers too, we get more benefits.
Yes. That is it. Even for the matured fishes, we keep some in the earthen pond as well.
Okay.
So it's something like creating a natural habitat for the fishes to thrive in. So I always enjoy stocking my fries here. It reduces the stress on me, me having to drain water here and there, and then the fishes as well. They look very healthy in the earthen ponds.
Okay, so someone might ask, right? When I remember the color of the water in the tarpaulin in the shed was clearer.
Yes.
This doesn't look clear, it looks green. Someone might think, okay, then that is not healthy.
Oh, contrary, this is rather very healthy. The water turning green is as a result of re-exposing the pond to direct sunlight. You know, when you expose water to direct sunlight, there is form of green algae growth, bloom in the pond. That doesn't mean the pond water is dirty, but it's rather healthy. One, it is protecting the skin of the fishes from direct UV.
Okay.
Two, the algae is proteinous, it's some form of proteinous food for the fishes as well. So you get some form of organic food as well from the earthen pond. So this is rather healthier than even keeping fishes in, let me say, an advanced environments.
Okay, they are more comfortable.
They are more comfortable, I should say. Yeah.
Okay, in the natural habitat, and it's healthy. Even though the color of the water is looking greenish, it's not dirty.
Yes, the water might look greenish here, as in on camera or you looking at it physically. But then if you try to fetch some of the water, it is not green at all. This is because the bottom of the pond has some form of algae growth. At the bottom of the pond, so it looks like reflective. It is reflecting the color of the algae from the bottom, but not necessarily the water turning green.
Okay, I think that is clear. So now we've seen the hatchery, we've seen the nursery. What will be the next point?
The grow out production.
The grow out
tanks.
Okay, then I'd like to see that too.
All right, sure.
Let me carry my feed. Okay, Joshua, I see that's 5 ponds, and I'm guessing these are the grow out tanks, right?
Yes, right.
So are these all catfishes?
No, I have the circular pond, the bigger one there.
Okay.
That is reserved for tilapia grow out production.
Okay.
Yes, but then these tanks are all catfish. We have the juvenile stage here, and then the matured fishes here. That is 1 kg and above are in this pond.
Okay. And I see that you have these ponds, these tarpaulin ponds out in the open without shed. Is that ideal for the fishes?
Yes, with the kind of system I'm using here, it requires direct sunlight as well. So that is why they are being left in the open. Probably when we are talking more about the setup, I will explain further.
Okay. So how old are the catfishes in the 4 ponds you mentioned?
Okay, so
are they all the same age?
No. This pond are of juvenile stage, and then these are matured fishes about a year. I started culturing them in this particular setup for about a year.
Wow.
So these are big fishes. Yes, the ones that I use to reproduce the fingerlings.
Okay. So you said these are juvenile, so about how many weeks old?
Okay, so these are about 2 months old.
Okay.
But I introduced them here about 3 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. After they were 3 weeks old. Okay. So these are about 2 months, and these are 1 year. Then I'm sure there's difference in size will be really huge.
Yes. I can try feeding them so that you see the sizes for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Woo. They're so huge.
So huge.
So these are more than 1 kilo?
Yes, these are more than 1 kilo. I have an average weight of 1.5 kg here.
Wow.
And these are the fishes that I use to produce the smaller ones.
They look healthy.
Yes.
Okay. And these are the...
These are the, yes.
Okay. The difference is huge.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I've seen the catfishes. You mentioned tilapia. I'd like to take a look at that too.
All right, sure.
Joshua, you have 4 ponds of catfish and then just one of tilapia. Any reason?
Yes. The tilapia had extra 2 ponds under the shed,
okay,
but I've harvested those ponds. So
okay,
this is a new batch that I've started. Probably by next week I will erect the remaining ponds here.
Okay.
But this particular season, this particular production cycle, I am experimenting on catfish as well. As in the ratio of azola, the supplementary feed that I feed them, and then the pelleted feed. I'm doing 40-60 to see the results that I will attain after trying to cut off the pellet feeds that we buy from the market.
Okay, how long have you had these this tilapia?
So these are about 2 months old. 1 month, 3 weeks. Yes.
Okay, but how long has it been since you added tilapia to
the entire setup? Yeah, I started last year somewhere around July. Yes, and I've harvested from this pond and restocked. Yes.
Okay, how has it been so far?
Yeah, it's been an insightful journey.
Comparing it with catfish farming?
Yes. I must say, people have this perception that tilapia farming cannot be done in tarpaulin pond. In Ghana, I think you can count the number of people doing tilapia in tarpaulin ponds.
Okay.
So this is something that I'm doing to educate the public and then to try and correct that myth that you can't grow tilapia in tarpaulin ponds. Okay. So this particular setup, I stock this tilapia of 10 grams, and then I'm trying to grow them to an average weight of 700 grams.
Okay.
Yes.
So how many do you have in this pond?
I have 1,500 fishes in this pond, tilapia.
This one?
Yes.
Is it not too much for the pond?
No, I'm doing an intensive culturing. The other production cycle, I did 1,000. Okay. And I always try to experiment so that when I'm consulting for a client, I know specifically what to tell the person or what to advise them on. So I always try different things here.
Okay.
The 1,000 was a success. I'm looking at how this one also.
Okay. So I'm curious to know, why do they say that it's not ideal to have the tilapia in the tarpaulin pond? Does it have anything to do with their natural habitat?
Yes, one. Comparing tilapia with catfish, tilapia are more robust, I would say, healthy, stronger. Catfish. Yes, catfish are more stronger than tilapia.
Okay.
But then they are all fishes that thrive in whatever environment that you expose them to. Just that we have different water parameter requirements. Okay, as in tilapia requires more stable temperature, one. It requires stable all parameters, pH, ammonia, whatever parameter of the water has to be a bit stable in order for them to thrive. Okay. Catfish can survive in wide range of parameters. So if today your water parameter, let's say your pH is around 6.0, and tomorrow there is a pH spike to about 7.0, it will survive, but tilapia wouldn't survive. Okay. Another difference between these two species is that catfish come from a family called Caridae. It's a Greek word. Okay. Is it Caridae or Caridae? I don't know, but they come from that family, which refers to the ability of the fish to breathe atmospheric oxygen, the air that human beings breathe. Because of this barbel that catfish have, they use that barbel, like, I don't know, it's like a mustache. I don't know if you've observed. They use that to filter out the oxygen from the mixed gases that we have in the atmosphere, the carbon dioxide mixed up with the oxygen. They use that to filter that, to take the oxygen. Tilapia, however, it doesn't have that capability. So catfish can come up when the water parameter is very bad or the water condition is very bad to breathe the air that human beings breathe. Tilapia cannot do that. That is why they die more often when your water parameters are wrong. Okay, so that is why they would say that it's not ideal to have them in a pond, but rather in their natural habitat. Yes. They survive more there. Yes, they survive more in their natural habitat because the conditions are always stable in the natural habitat. But now we are practicing a lot of urban farming, so it's good to know that you are trying something new, and once it's a success, many would want to patronize it. Yes, that's right. How long do you keep them in the grow out pond before you start selling, say for consumers
and these joints and others? How long do you keep them?
So approximately 7 to 8 months for tilapia if I want to culture them to around 800 grams. But if I need somewhere around 500, 400, I can do around 6 months, just like the catfish.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I like to see this one too. Let me see them in there. 1,500. That's a lot.
I've already fed them, and you know, tilapia are shy fishes, unlike the catfish that you can stand here and then be talking and feed them, and then they will come and pick.
They wouldn't do that.
No. You can dispense the feed; they will never pick up unless you go back. Leave them for a while and then they will start picking. They are shy fishes, unlike the catfish.
They are being cautious.
Yes, so people feel catfish farming is more entertaining because you know there's splashes and other things. Yeah, it makes it more lively.
They will show up.
Yes.
So once they are hearing us, they won't show up.
They will never show up. Tilapia will never show up.
Interesting. But I can see them picking it in there.
Yes.
Interesting. So you said how old are these ones? Remind me again.
These ones are 1 month, 3 weeks since I stocked them in this pond.
Okay, so you would start selling to maybe the restaurants and individuals when they are about 6 to 8 months?
6 to 8 months, yes, depending on the weight that I need.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how often do you feed them?
With tilapia, I feed them once with the commercial feed, that is this pelleted feed, and then in the evening I feed them with natural plants like azolla, moringa leaves, the water hyacinth, water lily. Yes, I'm just trying to get some form of organic fishes here.
Yeah. So you reduce the commercial and industrial
feeds.
Yes. Thank you so much for taking me on this tour. It's beautiful to see how you've expanded and all of that. Yeah. So what's your operational capacity? I forgot to ask about that.
So we are operating at a capacity of 10,000 fishes.
Wow, in this small space?
In this small space.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So anyone who has space in an urban area, they can start something in fish farming.
Yes. In urban fish farming, you don't require much space. You do intensive culturing, and then that is space efficient. So.
And this 10,000 capacity is at the adult level, or not even the fries and then the fingerlings?
Yes. With the fingerling production, my hatchery, we operate at a capacity of 100,000 a month.
Huh?
Yes, we sell 100,000 fishes here.
Wow.
Every month. Yes.
Wow. Interesting. It's been really good seeing all of this, and it's inspiring too. I'm hoping that it's going to inspire someone to also reach out and then do this. And then I'm hoping that the next time I come here, that's 10,000 capacity. We've gotten an expansion and we are going to like 20 or 30,000.
For sure.
Thank you so much.
We have to move to a different location.
That's true. With Joshua from Jakdam Farms to have a conversation on catfish farming and then tilapia fish farming. Joshua, I want you to throw more light on starting these two fish farming. Say I'm a novice and I want to go into this. What would you advise? Do I start with tilapia? Do I start with catfish? From your experience.
Okay. So from my experience as a fish farmer, I will recommend you starting with catfish. However, I know of so many people who started with tilapia farming and they are doing just fine. So it all boils down to the kind of mentorship that you receive. Okay. So if you are interested in fish farming, I would advise you first consulting from a specialist, attending a training before you even proceed on, getting your production requirements. That's the pond, the fishes, your production budget, which is very important because you've seen so many people start fish farms and then they get locked on the way. So training, one of the most important things you have to do. And after the training, I believe if you had the right training, you will be able to tell the size of pond and then the number of fishes used to stock in that particular pond. And then you proceed to your market survey. You do your market survey to identify potential buyers, to get an insight of how much fishes are being sold currently in your vicinity, the area that you find yourself. And then that is it. So it's very basic. Just get the right consultant, get the right training that will equip you with knowledge on what you are about to do. You do your production budget, and then you do your market survey. That is very important.
Okay.
Anything after that, I believe with the right mentorship, you can sail through. Yeah.
Okay. So I know you provide consultancy services. So anyone who is interested in doing that can reach out to you and be able to do that. But say I have a one plot or a half plot, it's in an urban area. Can I really do this farming, whether catfish or tilapia in there?
Yes. You know, we are promoting urban farming, both tilapia and then catfish. And fish farming in general does not require much space. With as little as 10 by 10 feet space, you can culture around 800 fishes, whether tilapia or catfish. So I highly recommend, if you want to start with backyard farming, you proceed to, you know, getting the required training. But then space-wise, 10 by 10 feet, you can do an 800 capacity fish farm. So you can just do the multiplication and then like the calculation to see your backyard, how much ponds can hold there and how many fishes you can stock.
Okay, so take it in this economy that we are in now. What's the minimum amount I need? Say I have land, because if you should add land, the cost would go high. I have space, right? Yeah. What's the minimum amount I need to start something in catfish farming?
Okay.
That can take me to the process of marketing and then making some sale.
Okay, so with as little as 5,000 Ghana cedis, you can even start a fish farm. Yes, as part of the packages that we have for starters, we sell packages, that is the pond, training, the fishes, the equipment that you need, addition with feed. So with as little as 5,000 Ghana cedis, you can start
once
a 200.
You have space.
Yes, once you have a 5 by 10 feet space.
Okay.
5 feet by 10 feet space. You can start a 250 capacity fish farm right at your backyard. And I know people doing about 20,000 capacity at their backyard. This is my backyard.
Okay.
But I'm doing around 10,000, so you don't need much space. Yeah.
Interesting. So yes, I know from what you've said, I need to get a consultant, get training and all of that. But indulge me, let's have a crash course. With the 5,000 that you've mentioned, 5,000 Ghana cedis that you've mentioned, what are the things it's going to get me to start?
Okay, so it will get you a pond.
Is that a
tarpaulin pond?
Okay.
That can culture 250 fishes from the fingerling stage to the maturity stage, that is 1 kg average weight or more if you choose to go. It will get you 250 fishes.
Okay.
It will get you 1 month's feed, that is a bag of feed for starters.
Okay.
It will also get you a scoop net that you use to harvest your fishes. And it will get you medication for the entire 6 months. That is just for 5,000 Ghana cedis. However, I know of most so many people who start with 10,000 capacity, 1,000 capacity. So we have that packages as well if you want to go into it full time, like commercial scale. Yes.
Okay.
And with that 5,000 Ghana cedis, at the end of your production cycle, you are not going to make anything lesser than 9,000 Ghana cedis. That is around 90% profit margin.
That's interesting to know. Yes. So with what you've explained, if I want to start out with, we are still on catfish, right? Do I need to start with the hatchery, or I can just go straight into fingerlings?
No, I believe if you want to start fish farming, you should definitely start with the grow-out production. The hatching is a whole ball game together. It requires experience to handle the fishes at the mature stage. They are easy. It's easy to culture fishes from the juvenile stage to the grow-out production stage, but to be able to hatch fries to the fingerling stage, it is something else.
It requires experience.
Yes, it requires experience and training. You have to be trained very, very well. Okay,
so your advice is anyone who wants to start and be able to continue, start with the fingerlings.
Yeah.
Culture.
Yes.
That's the ideal process.
Yes.
If you go start at the hatchery stage, you'll be disappointed.
You will be disappointed. That one is for sure.
Interesting. Now, let's go back to this tilapia and then catfish. Why did you say in your case you would want to start with catfish? Is there any challenge in there?
Yes, I would say it depends on the type of system that you want to start with. If you are starting with tilapia farming in earthen ponds, you are a bit secured, as in the earthen ponds are more convenient for tilapia production.
Okay.
But if you are starting at your backyard and you want to start with either catfish or tilapia, I believe you have to start with the catfish because the tilapia requires strict attention. They require much attention than the catfish.
Okay.
And then the survival rate for production for both fishes, catfish has high survival rates than tilapia.
Okay, so it means that the catfishes are more resilient in the tarpaulin ponds than the tilapia.
That is the word,
fishes.
more resilient.
All right, okay. So at least my takeaway is to be able to start, I need a consultant, I need training, I also need to figure out my budget.
Yes.
And then, what was the last thing? Market survey.
Yes.
Okay, because after production, you should have a ready market that you're going to make sales to before you can make profit. Okay. Joshua, so the 5,000 cedis you mentioned, so anyone who wants to start catfish or tilapia can start with the 5,000 cedis you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay.
It goes for both catfish and tilapia.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm sure there are people out there who would want to reach out. You provide consultancy and training services. So if someone wants to reach out to you to come and visit you and then take them through the training or something, how do they get to you? Okay,
so you can contact me through either our website, by email, or by phone. By phone, you can contact me on 0248 570441. On our website, that is JakdamFarmLife.com. You can request for training on the website. You can as well buy farm input on the website. You can as well reach me on my social media handles on Instagram, Jakdam Farm Life, YouTube, Jakdam Farm Life, TikTok, Jakdam Farm Life. Yes.
Joshua, earlier you were saying that you hardly do water change with your in your ponds, right?
Yes.
But you have these fishes in your ponds for about, say, 3 to 6 months, and you are not doing any form of water change.
Yes.
What kind of system are you running?
Okay, so this is an hybrid system between RAS and then bioflog.
Where RAS is?
The recirculating aquaculture system, where pond water is being channeled through series of filters in order to get the water clean and then healthy for the fishes.
Okay.
So the RAS system deals with external filtration chambers that you channel the water to remove the dirt that is caused by the fish feed and then the uneaten feed and so forth. Okay. But with this system, we are focusing on biological filtration. All forms of filtration is done within the pond. Okay. You don't need any external filters to get the water good or quality for the fishes to strive. Okay. So in this system, we are utilizing probiotics. Probiotics are basically live blend of organisms that we introduce in the pond, organic organisms. They are highly organic, that we introduce in the pond to break down the fish waste, the uneaten feed, and then environmental pollution, like pollutants in the pond water, for the fishes to also thrive. Okay. So how the system is set up is we introduce a sand base mixed up with smaller rocks at the bottom of the pond before we introduce our fishes. Let me
take you back a bit. So like this pond we are standing by now, you are saying that you have sand filled at the bottom.
Yes, sand filled at the bottom. Sand and rocks.
Sand and rocks.
Filled at the bottom. Okay. And then we introduce our bacteria, the beneficiary bacteria, that is the probiotics. Okay. We are utilizing different types of bacteria, Nutrisomonas, Nitrobacter, Rhodobacter, Lactobacillus, like the one they use in yogurt production and all that. We introduce the bacteria in this pond, and then they help break down the waste. So you don't change your water. All you need to do is to come and feed your fishes and let the bacteria break the waste which would have contaminated the water into food for them to feed on again.
So the fishes then tend to feed on that, or the bacteria does that?
The fishes then tend to feed. The bacteria feed on the fish waste, and then they produce organic food for the fishes to feed on. So it's like a whole ecosystem in the pond. Fishes producing waste, the feed being converted to proteinous food for the fishes to feed on again. Okay. So with this system, you don't get to change water even the number of feed that you buy to attain a certain weight will be reduced because they have extra source of feed. This system doesn't require any external filtration or labor to clean filters, unlike the RAS or the recirculating aquaculture system.
Okay.
Just come, feed your fishes, and let the bacteria take care of the rest.
Okay, Joshua, one of the major challenge people have expressed about urban fish farming is the smell of the water. So people tend to complain when people are doing fish farming in the area because they complain so much about the smell. With this system, does it cater for that?
Yes. This system is totally odorless because the bacteria break down the waste and then convert it into food. There's nothing to pollute the water to produce a foul odor or anything of that sort. So this system is totally odorless. You can come work on the fishes and you can go back not washing even your hand.
That is true. That is true. When you're even passing by, you don't even smell anything. And I'm standing right in front of the pond, and then there is no bad odor from it. So that is really true. You talked about having stones and then did you say rocks, right?
Yes, smaller rocks.
And sand in there.
Yes.
Is this something you can scoop for us to see?
Yes, let me see. Think.
Oh. Interesting.
So,
okay.
This is a mixture of sharp sand and then these small river stones, rocks, lava rocks. Yes.
So we have the sand too down.
Yes.
Okay.
So this creates some form of ecosystem for them. It promotes the growth of the bacteria that we introduce. Remember, the bacteria are also live organisms, living organisms. So they have to reproduce more to be able to take care of the waste that the fish produces. So as the fishes are growing, the bacteria also have to increase their colony to be able to cater for the waste that the fish will produce.
And this even looks like it makes the system look feel closer to their natural habitat.
Yes, more natural.
You have the sand and stones in there, it feels close to that. Is that what is also contributing to the way the water looks?
Yes, I think the way the water looks is as a result of algae bloom.
Okay.
When you expose water to sunlight, it will definitely turn a bit greener, and then the protein content in the water as well. But then, if you scoop with your hand, it is very clear.
Yeah.
So this is the green stuff formed at the bottom of the pond that is making it look greener.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to understand, how long can you keep this before topping up or maybe draining some of the water out?
Okay, so occasionally, because of the pond being exposed to direct sunlight, there will be some form of evaporation here. You can see the mark here.
Yeah.
The water is going down a bit.
Yeah.
So occasionally you have to check the level and then top it up. This is about 2% of the water every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on how scorchy the sun is. Yes.
Okay. But are there instances where you don't have the water receding and then you still want to change?
Yes,
and
that
then
is.
You do that.
That is a technical measure that we also put in place here.
Okay.
You know, when the bacteria fully colonize the pond, they are just like, let me use the fishes as an example. They reproduce and colonize all the pond. So you have to give them room to grow more. That is why even the pond, the level dropping, you top up new, you give them room to reproduce again.
Okay.
And yes, so it is not something that you must do.
Okay.
But then if you want to top up or someone wants to clarify the water a bit, they drain about 20% and then top up with fresh water.
Okay.
That is optional.
Okay. I noticed you had some pipes in there, bringing in some bubbles in the water. What's the reason for that?
Okay, so this is my aeration system.
Okay.
Introducing oxygen into the pond.
Okay.
Tilapia requires at least 5 ppm of oxygen in your pond water, 5 milligram per liter in your pond water. So what I do to supplement or to get the demand is to pump atmospheric air into the pond. So I have an air pump situated there, and then this is just to create the bubbles to introduce the oxygen, to diffuse the oxygen.
Okay. So with this system that you're running, the key thing and the interesting I find here is that there is no form of water change.
Yes.
It is absolutely maybe technical, or when you have water receding that you change water. Then this makes urban farming, fish farming very easy then.
Very easy, very easy compared to the traditional conventional way of culturing fish, where you'd have to change water every 2 to 3 days. The volume of water in this particular pond is around 12,000 liters. So if you have to drain this water every 2 to 3 days and then refill,
that's a lot of money.
Yes, that is not cost effective.
And then there is no maintenance cost.
Yes.
To this one.
Yes.
It's little or no maintenance cost.
Yes. The only thing you need to cater for is the small pump that we use, the electricity that you need to power the system. So with this pond, if it's this pond alone, I can use about 40 watts, which is equivalent to 1 light bulb to operate the system, and that is it.
Okay, so if someone wants, if a fish farmer out there wants to have this setup so that they solve the problem of those constant water change, it's beautiful. Do you do such setup? Yes,
of course, we do this setup. You can contact us and we will give you a nice setup. We have packages for this setup. So
even in my backyard, if I want this, where I don't have to do water change.
Backyard, when you call us, within a day or two, we can set up the whole system for you.
How can people reach you to do this?
So through my social media handles, Jakdam Farm on TikTok, Jakdam Farm on Instagram, Jakdam Farm Life on YouTube, or through my email, jakdamfarmlife.com. jakdamfarmlife@gmail.com. Through my website, jakdamfarmlife.com. And then my mobile as well, 0248570441.
Okay. In every system, there's a need to practice maintenance culture. And I'm sure you have some maintenance practices you undertake here that helps with your fish farming. Yeah. Can you tell me some of them and then why those things are key?
Okay. So just as in any business, maintenance is very important, and then it is no different in fish farming. In fish farming, some of the maintenance activities that you have to practice daily is one, the biosecurity measures. You have to ensure that every day your biosecurity is up there.
Biosecurity? Yes. What does that entail?
The biosecurity, I mean prevention of diseases, prevention of pathogenic infections to your fishes, whether from an external farm or within your farm to your fishes. So that is one maintenance or one preventive measures that you have to always put in place.
You mentioned bringing diseases from other farms. How does that happen, and then how do you prevent it?
So just as any farm practices, you have to ensure that visitors coming to your farm, you have to make sure that they disinfect their hands, their foot, whatever they are bringing into your farms. That is why when you visit any livestock farm, you see their foot bath, washing basin, and all that's putting in place. So these are biosecurity measures that we put in place. As well as pond sanitization, that is janitorials. You have to always ensure that you clean your ponds and the tools that you use, the equipment that you use in your daily activities on the farm. You have to make sure you disinfect them, you clean them well to prevent any form of disease, infection, any form of outbreak. And most importantly in fish farming, you have to ensure that you test your water parameters daily. You have to ensure your water parameters are up there, are always within range. Water parameters, I mean the pH, the ammonia, the nitrate, the nitrite, temperature, turbidity, even odor.
Is that done daily?
Yes, it's done daily. It's done daily, depending on the type of system that you are using. So the conventional way of culturing fish, that is changing water every 2 to 3 days, you know definitely you are going to change water. So people don't really pay attention to the water parameters. They only test the source water. If it's Ghana water, you are free because you know the pH is always stable. So the only thing you have to check is probably the temperature that you are, the temperature of the water you are pumping onto your fish. But with systems like the RAS, the bioflog, this probiotics way of culturing fish, you have to make sure that you test your water parameters to ensure they are always within range. as well as the another maintenance practices that we ensure on our farm is to people don't really talk about that, is to provide quality feed for your fishes.
Okay, that is also key.
Yes, that is also key. Some wouldn't consider it as maintenance, but then I feel supplying your fishes with right feed is also a maintenance practice.
Okay.
Because if you don't do that, the biosecurity measures, the pond sanitation will all go to waste. Yes, so that is something that you always have to ensure on a fish farm.
How would it go to waste if I'm not giving my fishes the right feed?
Okay, so if you clean your ponds, your fishes are not infected, may not be infected, but if you feed them with poor quality feed, they are not growing. They will never grow. So that tells you that this is something that you
spending money there, and then you are not making any because of the feed.
Yes.
Okay.
So you always have to ensure quality feed is being given to your fishes.
Okay, Joshua, let me go over the 4 key points you've spoken about. So we have the biosecurity, the janitorial, water parameters, and then feed. One thing that crossed my mind, what if there is an outbreak or there is an infection? How is that handled? Okay, so when there is a disease or infection outbreak in your pond, you have about 3 things you can do. Okay. One is to apply probiotics. Okay. Not antibiotics. Not antibiotics. Okay. We have probiotics. Probiotics are different from antibiotics. Okay. Because if you use antibiotics in your pond, one, it is highly prohibited by the Chamber of Aquaculture, the regulations as to regards to fish farming. We don't use antibiotics that human beings consume and takes to treat fishes. Okay. We have fish biotics that it comes with. Okay. You can treat them with fish biotics or probiotics. Okay. Probiotics is like a long-term treatment. It takes time because you are introducing something organic to treat the fishes. Okay. Just like human beings using the orthodox medication. We presume it is slow in action, but then very good. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. So these maintenance practices that we've spoken about, does it apply to both catfish and then tilapia? Yes, it applies to both catfish and tilapia, even other species. Whatever species of fish that you are catching, you have to apply all these maintenance practices. Okay. So I understood that what you talked about applied to the tarpaulin pond. Yeah. Does it also apply to the earthen pond? Yes, some applies to the earthen pond. Okay. With the cleaning of the pond, washing of the pond and all that, it applies to tarpaulin pond and then the concrete pond, and as well as the plastic ponds. Okay. But with maintenance on earthen ponds, I think you have 2 maintenance that you can undergo on earthen pond. That is refertilization of the pond, introducing organic matter like poultry manure into the pond to help in to promote the growth of phytoplanktons, worms, and other stuff in your pond to make it healthier for the fishes to live in. Okay. And as well as weeding, that is a common, yes, weeding. You need to weed around. You need to weed around the pond. Okay. But it comes with measures. If you construct your earthen pond with sandbags, weeding becomes very difficult because you might tend to cut the sandbags and then, your ponds is prone to collapsing. Yes. Okay. So to have having a fish farm in itself is an investment. So these maintenance practices we are speaking about, if they are done daily or at the intervals required, one should expect more success in their fish farming, right? Yes. So in fish farming, I always say fish farming is very basic. Follow the right measures and then you succeed. Because if your fishes are healthy, you don't need to worry about anything. They will definitely eat the quality feed you are administering in the pond, and then they will give you in return body mass or body weight. Yeah. Joshua, let's discuss the type of ponds used in fish farming. At least I know there are about 4 of them that people use regularly. Can you tell me about them and then let's discuss the differences, the uses, and all of that? Okay, so we have about 4 types of ponds: the earthen pond, the concrete pond, the tarpaulin pond, and the plastic ponds. Okay. The plastic, a typical example is this type of pond. Okay. This is a typical example of a plastic pond. It is made out of plastic material. Okay. It also comes in form of storage tanks, the poly tanks, like half of a poly tank. Yes. So this is what I use here for my hatchery. Okay. So it's a 1,000-liter tank that I've cut into 2 sections just to
utilize it raw. Yes.
Okay. So it means you can use it as a full 1,000 liter.
Yes, you
without
can use
cutting it into
Yes,
two.
you can use it as a full 1,000 liter. This is because I'm using it for hatchery,
Okay.
and hatchery the fries don't really require much depth.
Okay.
So I need to just cut into two and then make use of it.
Okay. So with the plastic type, is it just used for hatchery, or it can be used for the grow out and then the nursery?
Okay,
fishes?
so it can be used for grow out as well, just that it doesn't contain much water. So using it for grow out, you wouldn't stock many fishes in it. So
Okay, so
yes,
for the 1,000 liter, for instance, how many?
it can stock only 90 fishes to maturity. So looking at how expensive it is, this 1,000 liter tank can cost you around 1,200 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
Whereas a tarpaulin pond that will cost you the same amount can stock probably 500 fishes or 350 fishes. Yes.
Okay, so in terms of cost and then the number of fishes you can raise in the plastic and then a tarpaulin pond, it means that the tarpaulin is a better deal.
Yes. But in terms of durability, the plastic is always there up there.
Okay, all right. So we've talked about plastic. What was the next one? Earthen?
Earthen pond, yes. So this is an example of an earthen pond.
Yeah.
An earthen pond is constructed by excavating the ground to create some form of a pit, and then you fill in the water just as you see here.
Yeah.
In some cases, you have to do bagging. The bagging means preventing the walls from collapsing or like from breaking in.
Okay.
Yeah, so you use the sandbags to prevent the erosion and all that from getting the ponds to break in here.
All right, so I noticed that in one of your ponds you have the sandbags covering the whole of the inside.
Yes, exactly. It is not necessary when you afford about 30 degrees or 30 to 40 degrees curve. And then also depends on the type of soil that you have available. Yes.
So what kind of soil do you need to have so that you don't have to put the sandbags?
Preferably a clay.
Okay,
Yeah,
that can hold the water.
Yes, that can hold the water. And then, the sandy soil tends to, do I say brittle, but it tends to wash away when you fill the pond with water. But then the clay can hold very well. So.
Okay, so in the case of the earthen pond, it means that you need available land and space. You need to dig.
Yes, you need to dig.
Oh.
It requires manual labor to dig, and then the difference between the earthen and then the plastic.
And plastic.
Yes, the plastic that I earlier explained is that the earthen pond, when you're about to harvest, you would have to extract all the water, to pump all the water out and then get in. That is what most farmers are not really comfortable with. You have to get inside the mud, fish your fishes out, and then that's it. So the earthen pond is easy to culture the fishes in. The fishes also have extra source of food. The worms, the phytoplanktons, the fishes feed on it. So they tend to feel comfortable in the earthen pond. But when harvesting, that is where the work actually comes in.
So the major challenge with harvesting in an earthen pond is you need to drain the water.
Yes.
When you drain that water, does it go waste?
It goes waste. It goes waste. You need to pump all the water out and then fetch the fishes manually, like scoop nets to just harvest your fishes.
Okay, so in that case, how long do you tend to keep your water before you do that?
So in the earthen ponds, they are most preferably constructed in waterlogged area with a waterlogged area where there is exchange of water. I mean, fresh water coming inside the pond and some leaving or going outside the pond. You don't need to worry about changing water. Or if you have any stream closer by, you can just create an inlet and then
an
overflow.
Yeah.
So it creates some form of simultaneous inflow and then outflow of water. You don't need to worry. But in situations like this, at my backyard, occasionally I can pump about 40%, 50% out and then top it up, probably a month or 2 months. But again, I am using probiotics as well in this pond. So I don't need to worry about pumping the water out.
Unless you have these huge grow outs, adults ready for
sale,
then you do that.
Yeah, you definitely have to pump out.
Okay, so we've talked about the plastic, we've talked about the earthen. I see you have a lot of
yes, ponds here.
tarpaulins here.
Yes, yes.
Can you tell me about the tarpaulin too?
Yes, sure.
So I see you have a lot of the tarpaulin ponds around. Tell me a bit about it. Why do you like using it?
Okay, so the tarpaulin ponds have so many advantages.
Okay.
As in, they are movable. You just have to remove the joints. You can take it wherever you want to take your ponds to, unlike the earthen ponds that when you dig, you are stuck there. When you want to relocate, you'll have to dig another one. With the tarpaulin ponds, you can just collapse your pond and then relocate. It is also cost effective. They are less expensive as compared to the plastic pond. So the tarpaulin ponds comes in so many sizes. It can be constructed in different sizes, different shapes as well.
Okay.
A square tank like what we have here. This is a square tank, and this has a dimension of 10 by 10 feet. So you can as well customize to any size that you want.
Can it be bigger than the 10 by 10?
Yeah, it can be bigger than 10 by 10, whether 10 by 20, any size that you want to construct. You can construct a tarpaulin any shape that you want. Yes. So
I see you even have a circular.
Yes, circular ones as well around. This is a rectangular one that we have here as well. And the tarpaulin comes in so many materials, just as I said. It comes in HDPE material. That is what I use for tarpaulin constructions. We have other materials that they use for shading, covering of big trucks, long vehicles and all that. Those materials are not UV resistant.
Okay.
So if you use that for tarpaulin pond construction, over time the tarpaulin or the material starts breaking off and then you lose your tarpaulin, yes. So you always have to ensure you go in for HDPE material. Okay.
And the UV resistance, because it's always in the sun.
Exactly.
It protects it too.
Yes.
Okay. So we've seen that the tarpaulin ponds too, like you said, you can easily put it together, collapse it, and then take it wherever you want to.
Yes.
So in comparison to the earthen one, if you are one that do not have that big a space or would be moving in maybe some number of years, it would be a better option.
To go in for the tarpaulin, yes, it would be a better option.
And in terms of cost too, it's more cost effective.
Yes, yes.
Okay. There's also, you mentioned the concrete type of pond too.
Yes. So
for that one, I know you don't have it here, but we can still talk about it.
Yes, the concrete ponds are mainly constructed by arranging bricks in layers to get the required height and then shape. It can also be constructed in several shapes, the square, the rectangular, the circular ponds. It can also be constructed just as the tarpaulin, but then the concrete ponds are more expensive as compared to the tarpaulin pond. A tarpaulin pond of, let's say, 5 by 10 can cost you about 50% lesser than what the concrete pond can cost you.
Oh,
yes.
That's significant.
Yes, yes, yes. So I personally am not a fan of concrete pond because of the cost that it comes with. And maintenance-wise, scrubbing a tarpaulin is much easier than scrubbing a concrete. You understand? So cleaning becomes much easier with the tarpaulin pond as compared to the concrete ponds that we use.
Okay. That's good to know. So at least we have an overview of the various type of ponds. In your experience, which of these ponds have you used, and which ones would you recommend to someone who is starting out?
I always recommend a tarpaulin pond for starters. Even for experienced farmers or bigger farms, I always recommend a tarpaulin, because one factor that people don't normally consider when they are about to start a farm, a fish farm or any livestock farm, is the amount that they pump in setup. Setup is not going to fetch you money anytime soon, so you have to try to reduce the setup cost and rather invest in your production cost, buying quality feed. And tarpaulin pond will help you achieve that. It is very cheap. You can also decide to fold and reassemble at any point in time. So I always recommend the tarpaulin pond.
But apart from the tarpaulin pond, which ones have you used, and then how has it been?
I've also used the earthen pond. Yes, but I've not used the concrete pond. Yes, I have farms that I've set up concrete ponds for, but I personally, I don't use the concrete ponds.
Okay, it's good to know the type of ponds we can use. So it's 4 types: the tarpaulin, the plastic, the concrete, and then the earthen. Each of them have the advantages and disadvantages. So everyone who wants to venture into this needs to explore what these advantages and disadvantages are, and then decide based on that.
Yes,
that's good to know. Joshua, in every business there are challenges and then successes, right? What are some of the common challenges one should expect to face or may experience when they venture into fish farming?
So one of the common challenge that I have experienced or I've seen, witnessed people face is the issue of availability of water. Availability of quality water, I should say, because there might be water around, but then it will not be quality enough for fish farming. So water is one challenge that people mostly face when they set up their farm. This is because people might fail to assess the water situation in the area before venturing into the business, and fishes live their entire life in water. So water is very key in fish farming. Another challenge that I've seen people go through is let's say where to channel their wastewater to, which is very, very important as well, as equally important as you getting the quality water for your fishes. So where to channel your wastewater to is an issue that people mostly face, which is why our RAS system, the RAS system, and then the probiotic system helps people to solve these challenges, because you don't get to change water. That means you don't have to worry about where to drain your water to. You don't want to have to worry about constantly demanding for water for your fishes. Another challenge that cuts across the entire aquaculture industry in Ghana is the feed prices. Feed prices are always skyrocketing, and then it makes farmers really struggle as to make enough profit or to meet their expected profit margin. So some of the ways you can help curb off these challenges as well, going for this supplementary feeding, the Azola, the water hyacinth, the water lily, just to reduce the amount of feed that you buy in your production cycle. Okay, so there's inadequate water supply, then the waste drainage of the water. Feed is also a problem. Yes. Okay. Is there any other problem? And as well, marketing is another challenge that most people face in the aquaculture industry. Marketing? Yes. How is that a challenge? So most people fail to locate their potential buyers, or fail to locate buyers after their production cycle. This is as a result of poor market survey. Well, you've gone to touch on my matter. In the past, we tried something like that. We tried a maize farm. I think you have a good point with that. We didn't look for a ready market before we went into it. So when we harvested the maize and were ready to sell, we didn't have a ready market to sell, and then those who were ready to buy were giving us their price, and it meant a total loss. So it means that to be able to have the right source of market, you need to do your market survey. Yes. As well, after the market survey, you can patronize renowned farm hatcheries to patronize, to buy your fingerlings from. And after your production cycle, who knows, they may help you in selling off your fishes. You have to also move out there to search for your potential market, potential buyers. You can visit the grills, you can visit the market women, you can visit the restaurants. And I believe with that done, you definitely get a buyer even before your fishes are ready. Okay, so with what you've just said, in your case, say I bought fingerlings from you. Now they are adult and ready for sale, and I'm not getting anyone to buy them. I can still contact you, and then you would link me to a source to be able to do that. Because the early that you sell your fishes, you come back to me to buy another fingerling. So definitely I must help you in selling off your fish. So it becomes a very good cycle that you work with. Okay, so we've touched on a number of these challenges. We've talked about the marketing, the inadequate supply of water, disposing of the water. I think I've missed out on one. The drainage. The drainage of the water. There's one more that we touched on.
And then the feed.
Yes, the feed. Yes.
These are the major problems. I think you even propose solutions for we've talked about solutions for almost all of them, but the inadequate supply of water.
Yes.
How can that be solved?
So with a system like what we use here, that is the RAS or the bioflux system that we use here, sorry, the probiotic system that we use here, you know, you just have to fill your water once. So you worry about filling your water once and that is it. You don't have to worry about draining the water out until you are ready to harvest. And you don't have to worry about refilling the water or changing the water every 2 to 3 days as people do in the conventional way of culturing fish. So that is a clear solution to water challenges in fish farming. Okay.
Does Jakdam provide setups for that?
Yes, we provide setups for that. We are well known for water management systems for fish farm.
Okay. All right. So we've touched on some challenges. We've touched on some solutions to them. Clearly, every business would face their challenges, but it doesn't mean that it's all gloomy. There is definitely benefits for going into or venturing into fish farming. Can you tell us about some that you have experienced personally and generally those you've dealt with, they also experience?
Okay, so the most obvious one is obviously the profit that I make out of fish farming. Yeah. You are guaranteed 30% profit margin if done right.
If done right.
Yes, if done right.
Okay.
If done right. And as well, the exposure. Yes, fish farming has given me personally an exposure to the outside world that maybe some other farmers or someone wouldn't be, or I wouldn't have if I didn't venture into fish farming. And then as well, community. I've been able to build a community, a strong community of like-minded people, people interested in fish farming, not only fish farming, but agri at large. So yes, the community, that helps a lot. It helps a lot.
I think one key one too is you have the opportunity to employ people.
Exactly.
So you are also impacting some way, somehow on the society. You are helping with the economy too.
Yes. That is very true.
Okay. So profitability first, if done right.
Yes.
And then you get a lot of exposure. You get to meet other fish farmers and people in the value chain.
Yes.
Okay. So it means that if I start with fingerlings, along the line I could decide I'm going to focus on hatchery. I'm going to focus on maybe just grilling.
Yes.
I'm not going to go through the hassle of getting a tarpaulin or anything. I'll just buy when it's ready and then grill.
Yeah.
It's a whole value chain. And I even hear some people even use it for sausage and things. So the value chain is wide if you want to venture into it.
Exactly.
Okay. It's good to know all of these. You spoke about training. How often do you provide training?
So we have 2 types of training at Jakdam Farms.
Okay.
We have the online training and then the in-person training.
Okay.
So the in-person training, we organize group training every month. The ending of every month, we organize group training where people from within Ghana, outside Ghana comes for fish farming training.
Okay.
Yes, and then we have the personalized training section. That is individuals requesting for training.
Okay.
We train only them, or we move to their farm to train their staff. Yes. Okay. So these are the type of trainings that we offer. And then when it comes to the value chains, we offer hatching training. We train people on hatching. We also train people on grow-out production. That is buying the fingerlings and growing them to mature sizes. We also do processing. We train you on how to smoke your fishes, how to grow your fishes and all that.
Okay. You mentioned that you have it once in a month, the group one.
Yes.
So are there specific dates for each month or days in the month?
Mostly we organize the trainings the last week of every month, the last weekend of every month.
Weekend of every month.
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned online. So if someone is not in Ghana, is in anywhere in Africa or anywhere in the world, they can join?
Yes, they can join our training sections. You can register by logging on to our website, www.jakdamfarmlife.com.
Okay.
You can register for the online and in-person, as well as consultations. You can request for consultations. You can buy fish farming input, the feed, the fishes, scoop nets, pumps, all on the website as well.
Okay. And I'm sure your contacts and socials are on the website, and anyone who wants to reach you. So we are in the month of February as we talking now. On which date is this month's training? Okay,
this month's training is on 22nd to 23rd. It's a 2-day intensive training, practical training on catfish farming.
Okay. So if someone wants to register, they need to go on the website, or can they call a number, or it needs to be done on the website?
You can register on the website. You can call my number, as well. That is 0248570441. You can as well send us message on our social media handles. That is Jakdam Farms on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much for taking time to talk to us.
Yes. As well as one thing that I nearly forgot. We have a mobile app that we've developed for fish farming. So yes, that is something that is going to solve a lot of challenges in fish farming.
What's it called?
Jakdam Farm Manager app. Yes. So it will be live on Play Store this weekend.
This weekend?
Yeah, this weekend. It will be
you
live
heard it first here.
Weekend. Yes. And this app can help you calculate for the number of fishes you need in a particular pond. It can estimate your production budget for you, give you the amount of feed you are going to buy, the water volume you are going to need for your entire production. It will also provide you the opportunity to take inventory of your fishes, records of your mortality. Yes, so that is basically some of the things that this app can help you do.
That's innovative.
Yes.
A good one. Okay, so you said it's going to be live by the end of this month?
Yes.
Okay, we will try and then download it and then check it out.
That is fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.